So another quick feature before I move on that I forgot to show you with these panels is I'm going to grab one of them, right? And I'm going to go and I'm going to duplicate this glazed one so I can show you. So I'm going to put glazed 01 here. And notice I can change the offset of a panel and I can change the thickness. So I can change it from 1 inch glass to 2 inch glass if I want to. That's pretty thick, but you can. And I can change the offset from 1 1/4. I can say offset that thing 5 inches. Now that's kind of silly, but I wanted you to see the what? The ability that you have to um, move panels within the system. So as you can see, I set this particular panel 5 inches back. Now, I would never do anything like that, but I just wanted you to see the extreme so that when I go back and change this, I could say, well, maybe I only want to offset this. Maybe I only want to offset it about a 1/2 inch. Okay, so instead of 5 inches, I could say offset it 1 inch. Okay, -1. Okay, because if I do it -1, watch what happens. And I change this back to 1. Notice it's sitting out a little further, but it's on the front this time, right? So that panel is on the front. You can see how it's offset from the other ones, all right? Let's move on back to our storefront for a minute. We'll go to the south elevation. We'll move away from our curtain panel. And let's say this is my storefront and I want to put a door in here. Let's look at this dimension, okay? If I go to annotate and I say give me an aligned dimension, I'll save my project. And see, I'm dimensioning from the grid to the grid. That's 4, 8, 11, and 4, 8, and 11, 30 seconds. Well, that's a weird dimension, isn't it? Well, how might I remedy that? Well, what if I go in here and I say, click to that storefront, and I'm going to call this now. I'm not going to change my original. I'm going to duplicate and go to storefront 01. Okay. Now in storefront 01, look how some of those things were set up for me already. Right? What if I wanted to go in here and change the spacing? They're saying the spacing is 5 foot for the vertical and 8 for the horizontal. Well, does that make sense? Yeah. 8 in the horizontal, 5 for the vertical. So those are normal dimensions. But what if I went in here and said for the vertical, I wanted it to be a fixed distance or a fixed number? I could adjust that in there. That might be helpful. But the first thing I want to do is I want to go in and I want to hover and I want to tab and I want to get rid of that mullion. Now I can't just delete it. Why? Because it is pinned. So I need to unpin it and then I can delete it. Now while I'm here, I can hover and tab and grab that panel, but I need something to put in that panel so that I can get to the other side. So if I go to Insert and I go to Load Family and I go to the Door directory, by default, notice there is a curtain wall double glass, a double storefront, and a single curtain wall glass as well, right? So I can grab any of these curtain and hold down Control, click all three, and say Open. And it's going to take a minute and load those. I'm going to hover, tab, tab, click. And then I want to say, wait, I can't put that door in. What do I need to do? I need to unpin. Once I unpin, you see in the properties browser becomes live. And now I have that door, single curtain wall glass, door double storefront, or curtain wall double glass. Well, there's not a single one in here. But if I go and just put a curtain wall single glass, notice I can put that door in there. Okay? What if over here, instead of that one, right, I hover, tab, tab, or I just simply undo, right? And then I come here and I tab, tab, tab. Whoops. Let's try that one more time. Unpin, delete, click this one, mullion, unpin, delete. And what if I wanted my door to be here? Well, what I want to do is what? I want to go 1. I could now unpin this grid. Can I delete the grid? I can't just delete the grid. I would have to unpin it, right? And then I would have to say add remove segment. That segment, now it's gone. Now I have a large panel, which is also something you can do, right? You can have a large panel in there. Now I can put that large panel in there and just say, give me a double storefront door. And now I've got a storefront door that has its own mullions on it. But can I get rid of those? Can I tab? No, they are an entity built within the door. Okay? Let's go back. What else could we do in that space? We talk about design. What if I went in here and said, let's go to architecture and go to what? Go to curtain grid. And let's say I wanted to now in this space put these every, I don't know, 2 feet there, 2 feet there, 2 feet there, and I'll leave that last one. But now I could do what? I can have a design of sorts in here for my curtain wall. Not, I'm sorry, for my storefront. So what if I didn't want horizontal mullions through here? What if I wanted to come in here and unpin that and just have a bunch of what's? And let me remove that segment in there so we don't see that grid anymore. So maybe that's just a design feature of mine. I go from these with a vertical here to all these horizontal. Maybe what I do in here is hover and I tab, click, and then, or let's do this on the other side. Maybe I have someone sitting behind a desk here and I come in here and I hover, tab, to that panel. See if I can pick it. I'll get it a little closer. There it goes. Okay. And then I right click and I say select panels along vertical grid. And then I unpin, right? And go in here and say, let's see if I can put my wood panel in there. And then that's a design feature now, right? It's somewhat of an interesting design feature. So now I can go in and hit realistic, and maybe, just maybe, I just want light coming in one side because I don't want too much light coming in. See, glazing can let in a whole lot more light than we actually want. What if maybe I just wanted light in the clear story? So I can click that and I can go back to making that a what? A glazed panel. And now I have an interesting design feature. I have this glass up above, and then I have this glass that's kind of broken up here on this edge. So it just shows you again the power of that feature, of this feature of curtain walls, being able to adjust them and use them as a design element. In some instances, maybe I would want, if I selected these for whatever reason and said select along, right, my vertical grid again, and said I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make these empty. And for whatever reason, I wanted it to be empty because maybe, just maybe, this is in an exterior courtyard. And maybe instead of having glass in there, I could put what? I could put some kind of greenery in there, some kind of plant, and kind of run the plants in and out of there, make it a green wall as opposed to just a wall that has glazing in it. So lots of nice different ways to use the curtain wall. Experiment with that a little bit. And then in the next video that we do, we're going to move on to our larger curtain wall over here, and we're going to see how we can use it to go about adjusting the curtain wall somewhat to get it even more interesting than in this small area that we have down here. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop the video.